Good evening. I'm Ellen O'Neill Waite.
And I'm Dave Blodgett.
We're the hosts of the First U Virtual Revue, and we want to welcome all of our friends to our pledge-a-thon here tonight in the beautiful First Unitarian Church in downtown Worcester, Massachusetts, United States of America.
Tonight's lineup of performers includes song, dance, tons of music, and to cap it all off, the Dancing Divas.
Now, this is all part of our annual stewardship drive here at First Unitarian, and we do invite you to make a pledge to support the work of our church in 2021. Dave, have you noticed? I bet you're wondering why I'm wearing these bee antennae.
I did. It's really curious.
Yes, well, we have been busy as bees despite the pandemic, and I'll bet you're just dying to have your very own pair.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I definitely would love to have one, and let's see how it fits. How does that look?
Perfect,
All
because
right.
we believe in strength in crisis. And dum-da-dum-da.
Okay, now I understand why you're wearing the antenna.
Okay.
We welcome all of you out there, members and non-members included. Sit back, watch, and listen, and prepare to be entertained. We have a great show for you tonight.
We do, and Dave and I have the privilege of being here together live in the sanctuary with all the beautiful sound it creates. And you will please notice we are socially distanced. So in order to take advantage of this privilege, to begin the review, I'm going to present a poem by Marge Piercy. It's titled To Be of Use, and I know that it speaks to all that we can do together even when we're apart. And Dave is going to accompany me on the guitar. And what is it you're playing?
Now we're going to play an old American tune called 16 Tons by Merle Travis. It's made famous by Tennessee Ernie Ford back in the 50s.
You get the work connection.
Good old coal mining song.
The people I love best jump into work headfirst without dallying in the shallows and swim off with sure, strong strokes, almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black, sleek heads of seals bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves, an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the muck and the mire to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in a task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass bags along, who are not parlor generals or field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or when the fire must be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands and crumbles into dust, but the thing worth doing, done well, has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine and oil, or Hopi vases that held corn, were put in museums, but we know they were made to be used. A pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real. Well, we have been doing a lot of work around here this summer. The Strength in Crisis motto for this year's Stewardship Pledge campaign was not chosen vainly. We have been busy as bees trying to fulfill our mission to stay connected during this time of COVID. There have been lots of Google meetings and lots of outreach, but we are here tonight as the result of individuals coming together to connect through their talents. Abby Hannaford-Ricardi and Juliet Donaldson have created this honeycomb so that we can track our pledge campaign. Each cell that you see will represent a person or family who pledges. We aren't going to be totaling up numbers tonight. We'll figure out the amounts later on. We just want to see us come together to help keep the hive. You can help us fill up the cells tonight in 3 easy ways. The first easiest one is that you can call 508-757-2708, and Jennifer Bowes, our Director of Operations, is here, and she will take your calls. She'll also be checking in on our website. And remember, you don't have to be a member to pledge. We'll be delighted to take your money. We value all support. And secondly, you can go online at firstunitarian.com and use the pledge button and fill out the information there. Jennifer will be checking that as well tonight. And third, if you are a member of the congregation, you will have received some information through the mail that includes your pledge form, and you can just fill that out and mail it in tonight. Or you can even go into the chat on our online conversation and let us know that you've planned to send it in. Jennifer is going to be checking that, and we will get that information tonight as well. You see, we have this busy bee filling in the cells that we've already received, and she's going to be coming up and filling out our progress indicator as the night goes on. And if you think that the busy bee resembles our 12th minister, Sarah Stewart, I want you to remember that our first minister, Aaron Bancroft, served for 2 years without salary. And when he finally received a salary, he pledged a third of it in order to build our first meeting house. So I think asking her to don a bee costume is not too much, do you?
That's true.
Okay, well, she's gone. Thank you, busy bee. I really love seeing all of those things filled in. And we look forward to seeing even more later tonight. Now, we finally get to our virtual performers. The first virtual performer of the evening is Steve Knox. He's been a member of this congregation for over 25 years, and he's sung in the choir that entire time. And he's being accompanied by another member of our congregation, Becky Spanagel. Steve was also a founder of the Unitonians, which is a barbershop group created by members of our congregation who wanted to do outreach through music. Steve's going to introduce his song himself. It is Row, 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 but I'm pretty sure that, like me, you'll detect some barbershop in it. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Steve Knox.
So this little ditty is a little over 100 years old with the title of Row, Row, Row. Now there is a boat in it, and the boat does get rowed, but it's not row, row, row your boat. And this song was first done at the Follies, as I said, in 1912, and it's about a romantic entanglement, and it's also about the kind of, the reason I like it, it kind of harkens back to a time when stories of romance were sweeter, gentler, more innocent than we find today. So row, row, row. Becky, when you want. Young Johnny Jones, he had a cute little boat, and all those girlies he would take for a float. He had girlies on the shore, sweet little peaches by the score, but Johnny was a Weisenheimer, you know. His steady girl was Flo. And every Sunday afternoon, they'd jump in his boat and they would spoon. And then he'd row, row, row. Way up the river he would row, row, row. A hug he'd give her, then he'd kiss her now and then. She would tell him when. They'd fool around, then they'd kiss again. And then he'd row, row, row. A little further he would row, oh, oh, oh. Then he'd drop both his swords, take a few more encores, and then he'd row, row, row. Right in the boat he had a cute little seat, and every kiss he stole from Flo was so sweet. He knew just how to row. He was a rowing Romeo. He knew an island where the trees were so grand. He knew just where to land. And tales of love he'd tell to Flo until it was time for them to go. And then he'd row, row, row. Back down the river he would row, row, row. A hug he'd give her, then he'd kiss her now and then. She would tell him when. They'd fool around, then they'd kiss again. And then he'd row, row, row. A little further he would row, oh, and then he'd drop both his swords, take a few more encores, and then he'd row, row, row. Thank you.
Really something, Steve. Hi. Our next performer is Henry Bolduc, one of our wonderful young people from First Unitarian. Henry Bolduc is a 10th grader at Burncoat High. Steve? All right. Our next performer is Henry Bolduc, one of our wonderful young people from First U. Henry Bolduc is a 10th grader at Burncoat High School. His parents have been members of the First Unitarian Church for 10 years. Over the years, attendees of the coffee hour have probably heard Henry proving his talents at the Steinway in the Bancroft Room. Henry will perform the Force theme from Star Wars, written by John Williams and arranged by Patrick Pletchman. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is Henry Bolduc.
In case you're wondering, those aren't Star Wars characters lurking behind Henry. Those are the guardians of the We Agora program that takes place here in the summertime. They didn't want to miss the opportunity to participate in our virtual review. Now, our next performance is by the Hip Swayers, a popular group that plays all over Worcester and central Massachusetts, including performances of klezmer music at the First U's annual Hanukkah celebration. And they just happen to consist of Toni Ostrow and Dave Blodgett. They're going to be performing Love's Gonna Live Here by Buck Owens. So I guess one positive part of this current crisis that we get to have virtual Dave and live Dave in the same place. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the Hip Swayers.
Oh, the sun's gonna shine in my life once more. Love's gonna live here again. Things are gonna be the way they were before. Love's gonna live here again. Love's gonna live here. Love's gonna live here. Love's gonna live here again. No more loneliness, only happiness. Love's gonna live here again. I hear those bells are ringing, I hear birds are singing. Love's gonna live here again. I hear those bees are humming, and I know those days are coming. Love's gonna live here again. Love's gonna live here. Love's gonna live here. Love's gonna live here again. No more loneliness, only happiness. Love's gonna live here again. Love's gonna live here. Love's gonna live here. Love's gonna live here again. No more loneliness, only happiness. Love's gonna live here again. Love's gonna live here again. Love's gonna live here again. Well, Ellen, did you know that Aaron Bancroft, the first minister, served this church for 50 years? And that he served as first president of the American Unitarian Association. And this church was designated as Congregationalist originally. Mm-hmm. Also, did you know that Aaron Bancroft and his wife, Lucretia Chandler Bancroft, had 10 children? That he received no formal salary from 1785 until 1787? And after that, he was paid an annual salary of $500? And in 1791, he was asked to give back a third of that to finance the building of the church. Can you believe it?
Well, I'm thrilled to see that the only thing we ask of our minister is that she fill
That's
in
right.
the cells to tell us how many pledges we have. How many have we received, Busy Bee? 9. 9 pledges. Thank all of you. And remember,
Yep, and we want to call, if you want to make a pledge, you can call 508-757-2708 or go to firstunitarian.com online and follow the links.
and I bet some of you are following the chat because of the difficulties we've been having with technology. So that's a good place for you to even make an entrance. Say, I'm sending my pledge card in, or I'm going to call Jennifer as soon as I can. So remember, those are the 3 easy ways.
All right. Well, let's get on to our next performance. This is Alesia Tringale, and she's accompanied by Jagan Nath Khalsa and Matt Johnsen. Alesia's a soloist with our choir, and all three musicians have often performed in our church. Alesia will be singing a song from our hymnal, Blue Boat Home, with lyrics by Peter Mayer and to the Welsh hymn tune of Hyfrydol. Ladies and gentlemen, Alesia Tringale.
I don't know about you, but I've really been missing that, and I can't wait until we can be back in the sanctuary and sing that hymn together. Yeah. Now, our next performance is another thing that you may have been missing. Will Sherwood is going to be playing our Aeolian Skinner organ, which, if you keep track, has 4 manuals and 4,000 pipes. Will Sherwood has been the director of music here for over 35 years. He started playing at his home church when he was 12 years old, and he hasn't stopped since. In tonight's performance, you're going to get a view of the organ that you actually can't have when you're sitting in our sanctuary on a Sunday morning, because you'll be able to see Will at the keyboard and get a view of our pipes as well. Now, some of you might remember that in 2000, we had another major crisis. We had a steeple fire, and the water that was used to put the fire out came pouring down through the organ pipes and into the sanctuary. And that time, members of and friends of our church formed a pipe brigade and carried all of the pipes out of the building into our garden to save them. So you see, we do keep persisting, and we do gain strength in our crises. Tonight, Will is going to be playing an arrangement of Ode to Joy, the finale of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Please, Will, take it away.
Wow, that's something. That Will really knows how to play that organ. Well, we got another performance from one of our young folks from First Unitarian Church, Melina, Cary.
Uh-huh.
And she's a remarkable singer, and she plays all sorts of instruments. We'll get to that in a while. But today, right now, she's going to sing a song by Tracy Chapman called Talkin' About a Revolution. And she's accompanied by the Hip Swears. Take it away, Melina.
talking about a revolution, shun, like a whisper. Don't you know? They're talking about a revolution, shun, like a whisper. While they're standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know? They're talking about a revolution, shun, like a whisper. Poor people gonna rise up, get their share. Poor people gonna rise up, take what's theirs. Don't you know you better run, 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 run. Oh, I said you better run, 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 run. 'Cause finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution. Yes, finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution. Oh no, talking about a revolution. Standing in the welfare lines, crying at the doorsteps of those armies of salvation, wasting time in the unemployment lines, sitting around waiting for a promotion. Don't you know? They're talking about a revolution, shun, like a whisper. And finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution. Yes, finally the tables are starting to turn, talking about a revolution. Oh Lord, talking about a revolution. Oh Lord, talking about a revolution. Oh Lord.
Thank you, Melina and the Hip Swayers. We can always rely on Tracy Chapman for a cautionary tale. Our next performance is a folk tale told and enacted by our very best storyteller, Hannaford-Ricardi. Hannaford. She is the children's coordinator here at First Unitarian Church, and the story she's going to tell us is a Chinese folk tale about heaven and hell. And this comes from what is called the Spirit Play collection that is used for our children in their church school in the primary age. So thank you for sharing with us, because we have all become children and we enjoy all of the storytelling that you do. Take it away, Abby.
Here is our underlay. It's black and white, kind of like the pandas in China, or the yin-yang symbol. This is a story about a man who made a wish on New Year's Eve. He had heard a lot about heaven and hell, and he wanted to know what heaven and hell were like before he died. And his wish was granted. He was transported to hell. At first, it didn't look so bad. There were lots of tables, and they were all set out with scrumptious food, all the delicacies that he would love to eat, all on these big tables. But he noticed that the people all stood far away from the tables because they were forced to use chopsticks, which were 4 feet long. So they had to stand far away to reach their food. And then, when they got the food into their chopsticks, they had no way of getting it into their mouths because they simply couldn't take the chopsticks and turn them around to reach their mouths. Oh, the weeping and wailing, the crying and moaning. All these people were so hungry and frustrated and angry. And then the man was transported to heaven. Now, heaven looked almost exactly the same as hell. There were tables laid out with scrumptious food, and there were people with 4-foot-long chopsticks, but instead of standing far away from the table, they stood much closer near each other. And instead of trying to feed themselves, they all took food and then fed each other. And in this way, everybody was able to eat, and everyone was very grateful and happy.
And now we have some time for some wondering questions. So I wonder if you've ever heard this story before. Now I said this story is from China, and this version is, but it's actually found in many different cultures and in many different religious traditions. I grew up with a version in which instead of having chopsticks, the people were unable to bend their elbows. That would be hard to eat. I wonder if you have a little brother or sister or cousin that you ever tried to feed. It's kind of fun. You can do the airplane coming in, make the little helicopter sound. I wonder if you've ever made food for somebody as a special gift or treat, or even every day you cook for your family. It can be really nice to feed somebody else.
Wasn't that wonderful? Well, Dave, it's time for another historic interlude. The church that we are in now is located at 90 Main Street in Worcester, Massachusetts, and it's right next to the courthouse, which is where our church met for the first 2 years before, actually for several more than 2 years, before they had the money to build a meeting house at another location. But in 1828, Isaiah Thomas, who was a member of our congregation, sold this property to the church for $4,000. And the church was built using a Christopher Wren design that still is in London these days. It's St. Martin in the Fields. If you ever go there, you'll say, I know this place. It was built on this property in 1828, and the total cost was $13,000. Oops, and look, the bee is busy again. We've had more. We've had 28 pledges. Thank you, everybody, so much. Because you know what the next fact is? That the church was destroyed by fire in 1849, and it was rebuilt in the identical form. But the only thing that survived from that first church was a gilded pineapple that had been off-site being re-gilded. So that's the information for now. Just keep up this pledging. You remember you can call 508-757-2708. You can go to firstunitarian.com and hit the pledge button online, or you can send in your pledge if you received a card through the mail, and you can put in the chat, the live chat that obviously you people are using, and tell us what you intend to send that in, and we will add your name to this hive. Thank you all so much. Who's next, Dave?
Well, thank you, Ellen. Up next, we got a Melina Cary coming back for one more tune. She spent a number of years in China, going to NYU in, I'm not really sure, I forget the city she was in. In any case, while she was there, she studied the Chinese zither, which is called a guzheng. And recently, as she's been at home during the pandemic, she decided to study remotely with her guzheng teacher from China. And she's been working on this tune. So today, she's going to play a song titled Ha Tong Yu Sa, which is translated to Moonlight over Lotus Pond.
Thank you, Melina. If there's a prize that we're giving out for the longest distance learning, I think she wins it from here to China. Now we get to hear from another one of First Unitarian's talented pianists, Steph Gustafson. Sten is a member of the Unitarian group, it is a Worcester group, and his name is Sten I may have to begin again. That's what you get for live. Stan Gustafson is a member of First Unitarian Church, and he's also a member of a Worcester group called Cosmic Slim and his Intergalactic Plowboys. Not only does he know his way around a piano, but he knows and has maintained every inch of this building, including our soundscape. Tonight he's playing Sweet Survivor by Peter Yarrow. Here is Sten Gustafson.
When Peter Yarrow wrote this song about 40 some odd years ago, he was aiming it at a different audience. He was aiming at us kids coming out of the 60s who were beginning to enter middle age and kind of running out of idealistic steam. But every once in a while, I think a song finds a new time and a new audience, and I think this is a really good example of that. You have asked me why the days fly by so quickly, and why each one feels no different from the last. And you say that you are fearful for the future, and you have grown suspicious of the past, and you wonder if the dreams we shared together have abandoned us or we abandoned them. And you cast about and try to find new meaning so that we can feel that closeness once again. Carry on, my sweet survivor, carry on, my lonely friend. Don't give up on the dream, and don't you let it end. Carry on, my sweet survivor, though you know that something's wrong. For everything that matters, carry on. You remember when you felt each person mattered, that we all had to care or all was lost. But now you see believers turn to cynics, and you wonder, was the struggle worth the cost? And you see someone too young to know the difference, and the veil of isolation in their eyes. And inside you know you've got to leave them something, or the hope for something better slowly dies. Carry on, my sweet survivor, carry on, my lonely friend. Don't give up on the dream, and don't you let it end. Carry on, my sweet survivor, though you know that something's gone. For everything that matters, carry on. Carry on, my sweet survivor, carry on, my lonely friend. Don't give up on the dream, and don't you let it end. Carry on, my sweet survivor, though you know that something's gone. For everything that matters, carry on. Carry on, my sweet survivor, carry on, my lonely friend. Don't give up on the dream, and don't you let it end. Carry on, my sweet survivor, you've carried it so long, so it may come again. Carry on, carry on, carry on. I love you all. God bless us, everyone. Carry on.
Well, I love to hear Sten sing and play piano.
Wonderful.
Yep. So, Ellen,
Yes, Dave?
you know, they didn't always do fundraisers at this church to get money. In fact, they didn't always do virtual fundraisers. Back
What
in the
did
old
they
days,
do?
back in the old days, they financed the church. They'd raise money by selling the use of the pews. Families would each buy one or several pews and would then be assessed every year based on the value of the pew that
Like
they
a
owned.
tax assessor?
That's the assessors would do that. Now, right now, we're sort of acting like the assessors, and our busy bee is showing us where we're at with our fundraiser tonight.
More cells.
Well, that's looking good.
Fantastic. Do you have more to tell me?
Yeah, we have more. We have a telephone number. If Mark would remove the cover, you could call 508-757-2708 and give us a call and make a pledge. Or you could also go online to firstunitarian.com and follow the link there, and you could make a pledge to the church, and you wouldn't even have to buy a pew.
Wonderful. So, Dave, didn't we have a Paul Revere bell or something in this church at some time?
I think we used to have a Paul Revere bell, yep.
Well, why don't we now?
Why don't? Well, I think you said the church went down.
Well, I just happen to have the same cheat sheet he does.
Yep.
And we had a Paul Revere bell that was recast after the first fire. But then when we had the hurricane in 1938, the major hurricane that we had no warnings about, the steeple crashed and the Paul Revere bell fell. After ringing for 15 minutes, according to legend, and it came into the sanctuary and it was destroyed and it couldn't be recast. But our pulpit bears a crack that's hiding behind the hive to this day. Enough history. Now, we're going to hear again from the Hip Swayers, Dave Blodgett and Toni Ostrow. They're performing a song titled, How Is the World Treating You? Now, you might know it from a recent recording of Alison Krauss and James Taylor, but it was originally written by Chet Atkins. It's kind of a different tune for Chet Atkins, and it was performed by the Louvin brothers, whom I'm told by Mr. Blodgett had their sound stolen by the Everly brothers. I will have to trust him for that piece of information. So, Hip Swayers, take it away.
I've had nothing but sorrow since you said we were through. There's no hope for tomorrow, got no plans for today. Every day is Blue Monday. Every day you're away. Though our pathways have parted, to your memory I'm true. Guess I'll stay broken-hearted. How's the world treating you? Are you wondering about me? Like I'm hoping you do. Are you lonesome without me? Have you found someone new? Are you burning and yearning? Do you ever get blue? Do you think of returning? How's the world treating you?
Well, thank you, Dave. You're right. That is a little bit darker than a usual Chet Atkins song. But I hope the world is treating you better than that. Our next performer is Cary McCullough, who's been playing for our summer services for the last 2 years. He's very talented, and he's going to do a piano improvisation, which you'll notice is a little bit different from some of the others you've seen tonight. He recorded it as well. He's an all-purpose performer. He recorded it for us at his home. So, Cary, take it away.
Carrick, that's a beautiful piece. You know, Ellen, several years ago, the Dancing Divas made their debut at a talent show at the First Unitarian Church.
I remember.
Can you believe that they're back again? In costume, dancing to the music of K-Stars side by side. The Divas adapted the words in our own Ellen O'Neill Waite, and Becky Spanagel recorded the song. Chris Johnson's garden choreography shows us what we need to know about working together. Here it is, what we've all been waiting for. Liz Gustafson, Ginny Johnson, Lee Reed, and Madeline Silva, the Dancing Divas. Take it.
Let me tell you, it was worth the wait. Can we give them a cheer, a silent
Great
cheer?
job.
Well, we want to close our evening with another poem by Marge Piercy. This one's titled Bridging, and it's an important reminder that together while apart is a core strength that we are sharing in this crisis. And once again, I'm going to be accompanied by Dave. And what are you playing?
We're going to do a version of O Shenandoah, an old American folk tune.
Being together is knowing, even if what we know is that we cannot be together, caught in the teeth of the machinery of the wrong moments in our lives. A clear umbilicus goes out invisibly between. Thread we spin, fluid and finer than hair, but strong enough to hang a bridge on. And that bridge will be there, a black light rainbow arching out of your skull whenever you need, whenever you can. Open your eyes and want to walk on it. Nobody can live on a bridge or plant potatoes, but it is fine for comings and goings, meetings, partings, and long views, and a real connection to someplace else, where you may, in the crazy weathers of these struggles, now and again want to be. Thank you all. Folks, that is our show for tonight. I'm Ellen O'Neill Waite.
And I'm Dave Blodgett, and we thank you all for tuning in and for your generous pledges to the First Unitarian Church.
All right, now we need to check in with our busy bee to see if there are any last-minute pledges. Ooh, there are. Ooh. I'm getting a total. Ooh. Look at what we've accomplished tonight. We have received a total of 30 pledges, that's households and individuals, and because of people like you, we can continue to do the good work of this church. If you haven't had a chance to pledge tonight, never fear. We would be delighted to take your pledge. And let me remind you that if other people you know want to make a pledge, let me tell you the ways you can do it. You can always call 508-757-2708 and speak to Jennifer Bowes, our coordinator of operations, or whoever picks up the phone, frankly. You can send in your pledge if you receive that material through the mail, or you can go on to the firstunitarian.com website and click on the Make a Pledge button. Finally, we want to thank you again for being with us, for helping us learn the ways that we can be together even while we're apart, and for keeping the bridges that we want to build between ourselves up and going. You are helping the First Unitarian Church of Worcester fulfill our mission to honor the sacred, to connect with each other, and to serve justice. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.